Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Reframable Podcast, the podcast that brings you people's stories and ideas about how we can work to reframe our relationship, not just with alcohol, but with stress, anxiety, relationships, enjoyment, and so much more. Because changing our relationship with alcohol is about so much more than changing the contents of our glass. This podcast is brought to you by the Reframe app. Reframe is the #1 iOS and Android app to help you cut back or quit drinking alcohol. It uses neuroscience to reframe your relationship with alcohol and unlock the healthiest, happiest you. My name is Kevin Bellack. I'm a certified professional recovery coach and the head of coaching at the Reframe app.
And I'm Emma Simmons. I'm a reframer, a certified life coach and thrive coach with Reframe. And today we're excited to be joined by Kari Nautique. She's the founder of My Best Friend's Place, a sober living home for women in Jacksonville, Florida. She began her recovery journey in 2019, and since then it's become her mission to create safe, empowering spaces for women to rebuild their lives with dignity and purpose. Welcome, Kari. We're so good to have so good to have you here. It's so good to have you here. We're glad to have you here.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Kevin. I'm really happy to be here.
Oh, classic Emma starting us on a good foot.
Just gonna say, as always, it's early in New Zealand. We'll give you a break.
I'm on my third coffee and it's not helped.
Okay, no more breaks. No more excuses then. Once the third
should be on fire.
Hits. Yeah. But yeah, welcome. Thank you for joining us again. And I think let's just dive right in. And if you'd like to tell us a little bit about your story as much as you'd like, and we'll go from there.
Okay. There's a lot of facets to my story. So I'll try to keep it like in a nutshell and keep it simple. But I started drinking when I was a teenager. I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, and I had an addict alcoholic for a mom, and she was not entirely present. I had an amazing dad, and my dad had an amazing mom, my Nana. So she raised me, but she was also an alcoholic. She was just a very nice alcoholic. So I just grew up around people drinking all the time. And it was something that I thought that the cool kids did. And so being very awkward as a teenager, like I wanted to be the cool kid. My uncle passed away when I was a teenager, and that was like my first blackout night when I was like 16 years old. It's like my first blackout night was losing him. And then just like fast forward into like my early 20s, and everything was partying. And my goal when I was younger was to become a model, like a bikini model, like a Victoria's Secret fashion model, like a Playboy bunny. Like I idolized those women. I thought they had it all together. And I used to take pictures of bikini models and tape them to my bedroom door, like when I was like 11 and 12 years old, because I wanted to be them. So I jumped into that industry really early, and that industry came with lots of alcohol and lots of parties and lots of nightclubs. And we're talking early 2000s, where it was like every single song on the radio was about bottles in the club and how the models had the bottles. And if you had the bottles, you got the models. It was like everything was about drinking and models. Right? So I fell into this like nightlife lifestyle, and myself and all of my friends and everyone around me, we were what I see now, like absolutely raging alcoholics. Like at the time, it didn't look like that because everybody did it. Oh, you're hungover, just drink some more. And then I can't believe the unhealthy things I put my body through back then, because it was like after the drinking, it was, oh my God, we need to eat a bunch of greasy food to soak this all up. And after eating all the greasy food, it was like, oh my God, you could never get to sleep. And unless you were blacked out, and even now we know scientifically that you're losing REM sleep regardless. So like you're not actually getting rest, and then waking up tired. And then if I had a photo shoot that was a really big deal, I wouldn't eat for 72 hours before the shoot. And all I would live off of was like black coffee and liquor. So it was, my early 20s were really unhealthy, I guess you could say. So I stumbled my way through that. Over the course of that like decade, I met my ex-husband, I became a mom, my life completely changed, and my drinking didn't. Like I loved my son more than anything, and also still tried to fit all of my drinking into my parenting. And I fell into mommy wine culture after that, which was like baby in one hand, glass of wine in the other. And then I felt like a sophisticated drinker because I was married and I had a kid. And now I'm not drinking at the club, I'm drinking at home. But I'm still going through bottles and bottles. Just my relationship with alcohol never changed no matter what happened in my life, no matter how drastic it got. I always tried to fit drinking into my life. And that means that all of the hobbies I had, like I loved working out and I loved diving and I loved going outside, and like all of a sudden those hobbies just fell to the wayside because all of a sudden everything that I did had to involve drinking. Even just going to brunch, like with the other moms, or if I was going to the playground or with my kid, it was like I have to bring like a Yeti with a margarita in it. Everything had to revolve around drinking. So around the time of I left my son's dad, after that divorce, it got worse. It was the worst that my drinking ever got. The days that my son was at his dad's house, I was so emotionally lost that, like, not having my child with me and not having responsibility. There are slow seasons in my career, right? So there would be weeks at a time where I might not have a job, and trying to support myself, I picked up bartending, and that turned into drinking on the job. And then the days I didn't have my son, I was just watching the clock, trying to get to an acceptable time of day to drink. And then I realized that I was just like consistently drinking, like all the time. So right before COVID hit back in 2019, my biological mother came back into my life. She was sober and she was starting to make amends. She was very just god awful at it, but she told me about AA and she inspired me. That was the first time in my entire life I considered that I had a drinking problem. And I knew that desperately I didn't want to be like her. And I got the opportunity to tell her that I would never let my son view me the way that I view her, and that I would do whatever it took to quit drinking and to just be the opposite that she was. So her and I still don't have a relationship, but that's what started me on my journey in 2019. And so I discovered that I couldn't stop drinking. That was when I first tried, and I would have a week at a time and then go back trying to go into the rooms of AA. And then it was 2 weeks, and then I'd drink, and then 3 weeks, and then I'd drink, and then I'd make it a month, and then I'd drink. And I remember seeing like the little 6-month chip at the meetings, which was like a lifetime to me. I was like, I could not imagine getting 6 months without alcohol. I just couldn't imagine it. But when COVID hit, everything shut down, and without a bar to go to or friends to invite me out, I really just started, okay, if I don't buy alcohol and I don't bring it home, I got a therapist. I started working out, and COVID was actually my first like 9 months without alcohol. But I wasn't working a program or doing anything recovery related. There was nowhere to go. And I was like determined to not drink at home. So I really white knuckled it through that. And then holidays came back around. My best friend came back into town and we went out drinking again. So next year I made it 6 months without doing any drinking. And when the holidays rolled back around, I went back out. And then the following year I made it 4 months. And then I started to realize every time I go back out, it's harder and harder for me to stop. Like I would say, okay, January 1st, I'm not going to drink. And it would take me till February or March to be able to actually put it down. And this is waking up saying, I'm not going to drink today. I'm not going to drink today. I'm not going to drink today. And by 4 o'clock picking up. So it was really became a battle. Like I started to realize it was a battle. So February 2nd of 2024, I was sitting in a pub. I was hungover. I had February 1st, I had my last half of a beer and I ate a cheeseburger, and I was just like, I'm really not doing this again. I'm done. And I remember telling my friends who were my drinking buddies that I was like, I'll probably start drinking in October again. I also did real estate investing at the time. I was like dabbling with my first real estate investments, and the opportunity to open a sober home came about when I was about 4 or 5 months sober. And so I had what I feel like was my higher power, like a nudge from him to be like, look, like, you want to do this, let's go all in. And I trusted it. Like I trusted that gut instinct, and house that I never expected to fall in my lap fell in my lap. And it was a foreclosure that I was able to take over. And the layout was so incredibly weird that it was like, this can't be a rental for anyone. I can't make it a co-living. I can't make it an Airbnb. But the way that the rooms were laid out, I was like, this is where the beds are going to go. Like, this is my sober living. And I took it with this flimsy willingness and relationship I had with my God at the time, I said, okay, like, all right, buddy, I'm all in. Let's do this. And that house was opened up as a sober living several months later. But during the months that I was renovating it and staying sober, it was right in the middle of where I grew up, where everything bad that's ever happened to me in my entire life has happened to me within a 5-mile radius of that house, including a suicide attempt that I had when I was a teenager. And so I had to battle all my demons in the middle of building this home. And it was really just like a God shot. So that house, through opening that house, through marketing that house, I was like, okay, I'll try AA again, but I'm going to go to women's meetings only. And through the women I met in the area, I found my sponsor. And through her, I found my house manager. And through my house manager, it was this snowball that just literally rolled downhill and got bigger and bigger. And I would have never in a million years that it ever would have imagined that this is what that house would have turned into. But I'm hoping the first of many. And there's a whole other plan to go with treatment centers and IOPs and stuff that I want to open. But right now it's definitely a God thing. Like I would have never, ever been able to open it if I wouldn't have just been like a hopeless drunk, you know?
So in February of 24 is when you were like, okay, this is it. When did that come? When did the house come up? Like how far after that was it?
I purchased it in June. Actually, we're 10 days away from officially a year of me purchasing that house. And when I first decided to quit drinking, this time around when I decided to quit drinking, I didn't even trust myself. I said, like, when October rolls around, I'll probably drink by Halloween. And by Halloween, I had a sponsor and was fully working a recovery program. And that was not my intention. My intention was like, let me just white knuckle this as much as I can. And through the process of opening the sober home, I found purpose. And through service and purpose, I found like my anchor into this lifestyle. And so before I didn't have that, it was really empty. There was nothing that could keep me from going back to drinking, not even my kid. And I would say, I'll quit drinking for my son. And then I would end up picking up a drink again. And so I would have this horrible guilt and shame because I'm like, man, I don't even love my kid enough to stop drinking. And that's not what was happening. I love my child more than anything. I just couldn't stop drinking because I have this mental obsession, like one drop of alcohol and I'm off to the races. And so there is no such thing as controlling drinking for me. And what I didn't understand then that has been communicated to me that I understand now is normal people don't try to control their drinking. If they don't have people who don't have a problem with alcohol, don't try to control their consumption of alcohol. They could just take it or leave it. They don't think about it. And like in the modeling world, because I've been a model for 2 decades almost, I can look at a meal and pretty much tell you the macros that are in that meal and how much I'm going to have to work out to balance eating that meal. And I have to budget this during runway season. I have to budget my meals. And in off season, I find myself budgeting my meals where am I allowed to eat this much of this? Normal people don't think about food like that. They just eat food. So the obsession of the mind for me, it goes into many other different compartments, but that was what connected it for me when I was like, oh, you mean normal people don't think about alcohol? That's weird. But when my mentor, she was like, I don't think about food the way you think about food. I was like, you don't think about food? You don't count how many calories are in a donut before you eat it? She's like, no, I just eat donuts. I was like, wow. So normal people just drink drinks and they just leave it or take it. They don't obsess over, oh, I won't drink tomorrow if I drink today. And that really opened my eyes to like, oh, damn, I must have a problem because I'm obsessing over if I drink tomorrow, I won't drink today, or can I make it till 4:00 or can I make it? I was bargaining and negotiating and budgeting for drinks when people who don't have the type of obsession I have with alcohol, they don't do that. That was an eye opener for me, for sure.
And I think that whole I get that obsession and that constant thinking about alcohol, or planning activities around when am I going to be able to drink, or like, where's the alcohol going to be? Do I need to bring my own? Is there going to be alcohol there? Is it supplied? Like,
Mhm.
every event, that was the big question on my mind, no matter what the event was. So and now we get to go to events alcohol free, and the point of being there isn't to drink, or the
Yeah,
obsession of or the thought process behind the event isn't, where's the alcohol? What am I going to drink? It's,
right.
I wonder who's going to be there, or what are we celebrating, or it's a baby shower. What thoughtful
Let's have
things can I do for
mimosas.
the parents to be?
Yeah, let's not
Yeah.
worry about the mimosas. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's a completely different
even
way of showing up in the world.
with the family barbecues and stuff that happen like over
Yeah.
summer, it's used to, I would say, okay, I'll bring just a 6-pack of beer, but let me see which one has the highest ABV, because if I'm only drinking 6, it better be like 10% ABV. Okay. And then I would look at wine bottles and I would look at what percentage, how drunk is this wine bottle going to get me? And if I was going somewhere that may or may not have alcohol, I was overly friendly. I was like, let me provide the alcohol for you guys. I can bring it. Who needs it? Who drinks what? And I would
Yeah.
go spend hundreds of dollars to bring alcohol to an event. And then I would notice that like almost no one drank it. And so I would usually end up bringing it home with me because I didn't want to leave alcohol behind with people that weren't going to drink it, because that's alcohol abuse, right?
Yeah.
And so I would end up saying, let me bring you all the alcohol. And then at the end of the night or end of the event, I would say, oh man, you guys didn't even drink it. I'll take it off your hands. I'll take it home with me. And that was my way of making sure I always had a supply, no matter where I was going. And that got really bad because there were times I'd go to the movies and I would just throw mini bottles of like little individual wine bottles, little minis in my purse. And
Mm.
I made the excuse that like, oh, I have to have my glass of wine with the movie. Like, girl, no, that's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Now my wife and I just went to the movies this weekend, and we stopped somewhere in advance, and I'm like, you know what? We're going to buy this extra big bag of Sour Patch watermelons. And that's what we threw in her purse. So it's
Yeah.
changed a little bit from those
What you're
days to
sneaking into
now.
the movies
Yeah.
is
What
no
I'm sneaking
longer.
into the movies. Yeah.
Skittles cost
Yeah.
$20 at the movies, and it costs like $5 at CVS. My kids, I want Skittles. I'm like, okay, if you're getting Skittles, we're bringing Skittles in my purse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we fit bottles of water in there too? No.
Yes, Skittle smugglers.
Yeah, I remember I was probably coming up on 2 years alcohol free, and I feel like it was February, so it was like Valentine's Day weekend, and yeah, my wife and daughter and I went to get sushi for lunch, and I got an NA beer while I was there and drinking it. It was fine, whatever. And we got up to leave, and I walked 5 steps away, and I stopped, and I'm like, what am I missing? And I looked back, and I had half of the beer that was left. And I stopped because I'm like, I realized I felt the need to go back and finish it. And I
Wow.
was like,
Yeah.
no, you know what? I'm good. And as I was walking away, I'm like, oh, that's
Mhm.
what I always wanted. I wanted that take it or leave it attitude, but it didn't work with alcohol. It's a
Mhm.
drug. It's affecting my brain. The NA beer that I had wasn't spiking my dopamine and making me want to get more. And so that was one of a little bit of an aha moment, a little bit farther along, but yeah, it's just different. I was
Yeah.
totally the same way. Like I looked at the percent. I like craft beer, whiskey,
Mhm.
all that, and I went to percentage first, and
And it
then
always
what do I
tasted
want?
terrible. The highest percentage ones always tasted terrible. And I would just like, ugh, I'm like, ugh. And that's when I started going to shots. And I said, okay, listen, I'm just going to pound shots of tequila before I go.
Because
These
nothing
beers
tastes
taste like
better
shit.
than that.
And like before my in-laws would come over, it was like, I remember my best friend and I standing in my kitchen, and I would keep a bottle of tequila in the freezer. So once a year, there's like this food and wine festival that happens down in Miami, and I would work the festival, or like my partner would work the festival, and they would gift us at the end of the festival cases. I remember one time we had like 55 bottles, and it was like just cases and cases. And so I'd run through them pretty quick, and I would keep tequila in the freezer, and I would just start taking shots. And I remember they were coming over, and I was so nervous because I'm not really good in social situations. I'm very nervous around even people that are family. I'm hyper anxious when they come over. How do I entertain them? What do I do? And so I remember pounding 7 shots back to back before they walked in the door and just being like, my best friend was standing with me and she's, I feel you. Can I have some? And I'm like, yeah, let's go. And why? This is family. They're like literally family is coming over. There's only going to be 5 people at the house. And my body went into fight or flight mode. And I said, no, I have to be drunk. And that's part of the disease is it's creating these instances where it's like on my shoulder, you need to drink because of this. And I actually made myself more anxious and more fearful. And then I would start like anticipating those moments. Oh, we're going to have a barbecue. I've got to get hammered. And so when I would take it away from my body, I'd get even more anxious because I wasn't giving myself what I wanted. I wasn't giving my disease what I wanted or my obsession what it wanted. I was withholding. So I was extra anxious. I was extra fearful. And what does that translate to? Snappy, angry, short with people, like just not pleasant to be around because in the back of my mind, I'm fighting this thing. Nobody else around me knows what's going on. They're like, damn, Kari, why are you being so mean today? Just get away from me. I don't know. It's because my anxiety is heightened because I'm not feeding this obsession. And there's this lie in my brain that was like, if you take that sip, you'll have comfort. But I promise you, the comfort I feel now is what I was looking for in the bottom of that bottle. And I find it in sobriety. It took longer to find it, but it stays longer because that quick little bit of comfort from that one shot is immediately going to turn into anxiety within 20, 30 minutes. And especially the next day with your cortisol levels raised and just your whole body being in disarray because it's trying to bleed out toxins. So like I kept looking for this calm, composed, relaxing substance. And I was making myself worse every time, not even realizing it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point of yes, in the moment it feels like alcohol or having a shot or having a drink is helping with your anxiety or going to help you feel better. But when we give up alcohol long term, we do get like a baseline of comfort. Like we are not always, but our every day is more comfortable, less anxious. And yes, we might get little spikes, but we can navigate those so much easier. Whereas when we're drinking, it's just an absolute yo-yo of I feel like shit, I'll have a drink. That'll make me feel better. And then I'm down. And then, oh shit, I feel like shit again. I'll have a drink. And so then I'm okay. But it's only okay or maybe just a little bit better than okay. It's never, I feel great.
It's never going to feel the same way the first one did.
Yeah.
Like
You're always never, chasing that.
You're always going to chase that first feeling and it's going to get less and less and less each time. And the feeling that I get now for accomplishing things without alcohol, that's that feeling I was looking for with alcohol. So if I make it through a barbecue and I do it sober, I actually feel proud of myself. I don't feel proud of myself when I drink. If I'm leaving and I picked up a drink or multiple drinks, because there was never picking up one drink for me. And whenever I did leave, it was like, did I say the wrong thing? Was I embarrassing? It was more anxiety. And then now when I do things sober, when I do hard things sober, I leave and I'm proud of myself, or I go to bed at night and I'm proud of myself. And that's what I was looking for. That's that feeling of like self-esteem and dignity and integrity that I was looking for. And I'd never found that in alcohol, ever.
Yeah.
And that's the $1 million question I feel is, but how did you do it? Like, what did you do that helped you get to that point? And I know it's probably a million little things, a million different things, but is there anything in particular that you would say help besides just sometimes it's just, you just got to do it and get through it and show yourself, but that's hard.
So the thing about discipline is that there's no, if you don't want to snooze in the morning, you don't snooze. When your alarm goes off, you just put your feet on the frickin' ground. There is no hack to discipline. If you don't want to do something, you just have to do the thing. So without the alcohol in my system, I don't want to drink. I have to just not drink. Now, for someone like me who had this obsession and what I believe is like alcohol use disorder, like they call it now, or like alcoholism, and that runs in my family, I couldn't just discipline my way out of it. And that's what was really screwing with my head, was that I can do hard things, and I'm proud of myself for doing hard things. And I'm able to withhold like more discipline than a regular human being. I'm not military level, but listen, I can do hard crap. Okay. And I couldn't stop drinking. So the couple of years that I was trying and that nothing stuck, that final like beginning that I had where I was doing it on my own, it took me realizing that like I couldn't do it on my own and reaching out for help. For me, that help came in the form of Alcoholics Anonymous. For me, that came in the form of like the support groups of AA rooms, which is not where I imagine spending all of my time. Now I love it. It's like free therapy. I chair meetings, I host Zooms, I help other women, and this has become part of the service that I do. So when I started focusing on helping others quit drinking, it took me out of my own problem, and having a support group of other people that were just like me helped me call people instead of picking up a drink. It helped me have a toolkit of other people that had the same problem I had, that were able to say, listen, before, like, as soon as you romanticize that glass of wine, just shut the thought down, pick up the phone and call somebody. And so help helped me, and service, like helping others, helped me, because all the time I was doing it on my own, I couldn't. And then through those support groups, I found my way back to believing in God. And I can't believe I'm sitting here even saying that, because for the longest time in my adult life, I was like, that's a cult. Nope, absolutely not joining that, not doing that again. But I learned through what I've been through in the past year and a half, I've learned that religion is just for people that fear hell, but spirituality is for people who have been through it. And I went through enough hell. So I have the spirituality to believe that there's something out there that's greater than me and stronger than me that I can lean on. So I have my support groups of AA, and I have my higher power. That's literally I live and breathe that. Like, it's part of my daily, like the things in the background right here behind me, that's the 3rd step prayer, the 7th step prayer, and the 11th step prayer framed on my wall. Because I say that when I wake up in the morning, I say it when I go to bed at night. Like, teaching my child that we can choose to be kind to people, because everybody is going through something hard. Everybody needs someone to lean on. That even the villains out there have an origin story of when they were treated badly, right? Learning to love other people and to offer help to other people helps me not pick up a drink. It sounds like this vast, crazy universe, but it's really not. It's keep my own house in order, right? Believe in God, help others. That's it. And I just don't pick up a drink, one day at a time.
Yeah, that's funny
Sorry,
that
that was
you
a lot.
said about the. No,
No.
thank you for sharing that. I love that you pointed the things on your wall and told us what it was, because I was actually going to reference this on my wall because you were talking about service and that. Let me refresh my memory exactly what this says. Yeah, it's a fortune cookie that if a true sense of value is to be yours, it must come through service. And I got that when I was deciding, like, okay, I was alcohol free, but I was like deciding whether to change careers, and it was, the timing of it was, I was like, all right, I don't believe in this whole thing, but I believe more in coincidence. But I'm like, all right, I see you. I got it. It was just one of those things that just hit me, which is why I have a fortune cookie framed on my wall, because that was a huge point that kind of pushed me that no, this is what's meaningful to you. This is what helps you. And this is what helps you help other people, is, yeah, just doing that thing, putting
Well, I
yourself out
realized I
there.
was
So
picking up drinks because I was hurting inside. I realized I was picking up drinks because I was in pain. And helping other people through their pain takes me away from my pain. And I was so self-centered and selfish. Like, Kari's pain matters than everyone else's pain, because what Kari's going through is bigger than everyone else's. So screw you guys. I'm just going to drink myself into oblivion about it, because pour me a drink, right? As soon as I took myself out of that mindset and started listening to other people dump their problems on me, please tell me about what's bothering you today. Please tell me the burdens that you're carrying today, because you sharing that burden is going to help you by just getting it out of your system. And it's going to help me because I'm going to realize real quick that I'll take my problems. Thank you very much. Mine are good. I'm going to keep mine and you can have yours and I'm here to listen. And so taking myself out of myself, really taking myself out of that self-centered mind frame, like the urge to drink isn't there when I'm in the middle of like, how can I help this person today? Or, man, I'm really going through a lot right now. Let me pick up the phone and call somebody and ask them how their day is. Super, super simple thing to do. But like people joke about it being like 1,000-pound phone, right? Because it's a simple thing to do, but it's that discipline of, I have to do this because my problems are never going to solve themselves, but maybe I can help somebody feel better. And then I'm not focused on picking up a drink. I'm not focused on my cravings anymore. I'm not focused on whatever's going on in Kari's world anymore. I'm focused on, hey, buddy, how can I help you today? Tell me about your problems. Tell me about what's bothering you. Like, man, that really sucks. Let's talk about it. And then an hour goes by, right? Or however long that phone call is. And all of a sudden I'm like, damn, I feel like I helped and did service for someone else. They feel better because they got it off their chest and I don't feel like drinking anymore. It's simple.
And it's because it can sound like maybe you're just avoiding what, your problems by helping somebody else. But I know I'm not saying that's true, but it is that maybe my problem just needs a little bit of time to, maybe it's just intense or perspective. Yeah. And give myself time to get that perspective, or just to, I don't know, maybe in that time I also ate something or did something for myself and was able to do that and make myself feel better.
Yeah, maybe you need to eat something. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you need a nap. Maybe you're lonely. Maybe you need to pick up the phone and call somebody. Maybe you're angry. Maybe you need to maybe you need to name your anger, which is something I'm teaching my 11-year-old to do, where it's anger's name is never anger. Your anger's name is something else. And if you sit with it long enough, it'll tell you. Your anger's name is fear. Your anger's name is grief. Your anger's name is exhaustion. Your anger's name is anxiety. Like name your anger. So it's, you're either hungry or you're angry or you're lonely or you're tired. And sometimes, eat something, take a nap, but picking up a drink always made those things worse, never better. So no matter what I was feeling, no matter what pain or loneliness or sadness or depression or anxiety or fear or no matter what I was feeling, picking up a drink made it worse. It poured gasoline on the fire every single time. And I would wake up the next day and be like, damn it, I did the thing again that I didn't want to do. And then there's guilt and there's shame and there's regret and it's just so much worse. It's just so much worse. I'll take picking up the phone and calling somebody instead of picking up the bottle and drinking.
Yeah, that's something I like to ask people who are contemplating having a drink. I say, how will a drink make this better? And they have to really stop and think, because ultimately it won't make it better. But you often list off the ways that it'll make it worse, or it certainly doesn't help. Like you were saying, maybe you're exhausted and you've had a big day and you're like, oh, I'll have a drink to wind down. But then tomorrow you're going to wake up more exhausted, because for people like you and I, it's not one drink, it's many drinks. And so you wake up feeling dusty, you haven't slept well, you've got that anxiety comes in. So you've just made what was I'm tired and I need to have a shower and go to bed early into, like, you've compounded that exhaustion and you're just piling shit on top of your exhaustion.
Yeah, and I find that if I really do need to put myself to bed, there's melatonin, there's magnesium, there's go to the gym. Like the days I'm stressed out and I'm on like a kind of like psychotic level of working out, but I work out for 2 hours a day, right? Try to not sleep after just killing yourself in the gym for 2 hours. Throw on a weighted vest, get on the stair stepper, set your timer for an hour, and then tell me that you can't sleep. There are ways to do it naturally where you don't need the drink. And then when you do actually fall asleep, your body goes into REM sleep. REM sleep is where your body repairs itself and you're able to actually function the next day and feel like, oh, all those problems I had yesterday are not as big as they were yesterday, or they are just as big, but I can tackle them now because I've had a night's sleep. Like, I'm not saying pick up the phone and call somebody and don't pay your bills, right? Trust God or let go and let God, right? That doesn't mean let go of your efforts, right? That means let go
Yeah.
of your expectations. So people who are like, I'm just going to let go and let God, and then all of their life falls apart. No, you still have to work. You still have to pay the bills. You still have to clean your house. You still have to feed your kids. You still have to, like, you can't just let go and let God. Like, Jesus, take the wheel. Goodbye. The car is going to crash. You have to let go of your expectations, but you still have to do the work to get the results. So I'm not letting go and letting God and then just leaving all of my problems behind, but giving myself a night of rest, or giving myself a night to sleep on it, or giving myself a natural way to fall asleep through drinking a magnesium drink before I go to bed, or working out extra hard that day because I know I'm going through a lot of stress. Like, things that I go to now and gravitate to now, I feel so good about when I go to bed. And there are days where I don't want to wake up. There are days where my alarm goes off and I'm like, ugh, I don't want to do this today. I never regret it though. Like, I wake up and I'm like, you know what? I'm tired, but I'm not hungover. I'm tired, but I'm not sick. I'm tired, but I don't have shame and I don't have guilt. And I get to live my life. Like, I get to sleep at night knowing that I did the best thing I could do. I'm not hurting other people. I'm not manipulating other people. I'm not doing like shitty, like sneaky things. Like, when I was drinking, it was always like me out for me. And I'm not like that anymore, because when I feel like drinking, I try putting other people first. So I go to bed at night. I sleep great. I'm like sleep queen over here. And it's
That's
all because I
beautiful.
don't drink before I go to bed. I don't drink my problems away anymore.
What time do you get up, go to bed?
Oh my God, my phone goes into do not disturb at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
The only numbers that can get through are like my dad, my kid, and my house manager.
Okay.
For emergencies. But I was going to turn my phone off at night, but with running the sober house, it's like highly irresponsible for me to, and my dad co-owns the sober house with me. So my dad I live in Miami. My dad lives really close to the sober house. So if there's ever an emergency, he can be right there. And he was really on board with getting into, when I opened up the house, my dad was really on board with it because he saw my biological mom like struggle with drugs and alcohol, mostly alcohol. Like, I say drugs and alcohol, but I think she only ever did drugs because she was drinking a lot. But the stories I have from when I was little, of just she was a teenager. She just didn't have a chance to really grow up. And as a parent now, and as someone in recovery now, I feel really sorry for the relationship that we have, because I know that, like, now as a mom, I know that hurting my child would hurt me so much. So I look at, maybe recovery will bring our relationship back together. Maybe it won't, but I look at that like my kid gets the opportunity to have a sober mom. And then because of my dad witnessing what happened throughout my childhood, my dad is always there to fix things. We had a sewage line burst. My dad is like 66 years old, and he's out there digging up a 20-foot trench in my yard, repairing the sewage line, like with my brother. And they're just out, and he's sending me pictures. This is a shitty job. And it's like a sewage line that's busted open. Thanks for the dad joke.
Literally a shitty job. Yeah.
Somebody has to do it. Yeah.
And doing it with love, because seeing the opportunity that we have to help other women, and especially in my hometown, it means so much to him, as much as it means to me. So it's really cool.
That's awesome.
So one thing I can think of that I would very much like to be well rested for would be swimming with sharks. Not something I've ever done, or I think I would ever have the balls or the courage to do. How on earth did you get into swimming with sharks? Like, how does that happen?
Okay, so Nautique is my real name. That was a boat that my dad had when I was born. So I grew up on the water. Like, I was my dad's first child and only child for 15 years. And when I was born, he was like, name her after the boat. That's it. Like the boat was our life. So we spent every single summer in the Florida Keys lobstering and spearfishing since before I was born. It was like a family tradition. So when I couldn't even walk, they had me in a life vest with a mask and a snorkel, and they chuck me in the water, and when the boat was anchored, and they would let me just hold on to the anchor and watch through my mask and watch them catching lobsters and spearing fish. Sharks were never a problem for me. And I know everybody knows about the TV series Shark Week, right?
Mhm.
Shark Week was always on the same week that lobster season started. So all day, sunrise to sunset, we were in the ocean. And then all night, we were watching Shark Week. And then we would just wake up and go back out in the water. So there was never a fear really with it. When I got sober again, I started getting back into the ocean. I spent so much time away from the ocean that, like, between being a mom and getting married and getting divorced and prioritizing clubs and parties and modeling and alcohol, like, I didn't have room for the ocean. And I started out just mask and snorkel and fins and just going out from shore. And living in South Florida, we have a beautiful reef system that's just right offshore. You can just swim to it. And that developed into, oh my God, this is where I feel at home. And I remember like surfing with my dad when I was a teenager, and we'd paddle out and dawn patrol, which was always the sunrise surf. And I would just watch, I would stare at that line where the sea and the sky meet, and I would just lose my breath just in awe of it. And I remember telling my dad, like, I'm never going to love anything in the world the way that I love the ocean. And there's one caveat to that, and that's my son. The only thing I love as much as I love the ocean is my kid. And I started diving more frequently. I met up with a group of friends in South Florida. I started meeting more people that shore dive. I got more professional equipment. And then I got invited by one of these, this diving page, this shark diving page, to come out on their boat one day, like over a year ago. And they were like, yeah, come just swim with sharks. We'll give you photo, video content. I was like, oh, wow, I haven't directly just swam with sharks. Like, I've seen sharks in the ocean, but I've never been like, let me throw dead fish in the water and get sharks to come up to me. It is the most life-changing experience. It's because you think that sharks are these apex, like they are apex predators. You think that they're out there to like just eat everything that moves. And that's not the case at all. It was really hard to get them to come near us, to get them to trust us. They only came near us because we have chum. And then when the snacks are gone, the sharks are gone. So they view, as long as you're making eye contact and you're staying calm, they view you as one of them. And the sharks have this natural predatory instinct where if I'm going to swim away from them, their instinct kicks in. They're like, that's prey. I might be able to eat that. But if I stand and but if I turn and I make eye contact with them and I hold my ground and I maintain like this calm demeanor, they're like, oh, you're just here for the fish too, right? You're just here for the chum. Don't eat my chum. Like they don't want to come near you. They don't want to fight. They don't want to engage in anything that's going to make them burn out all of their energy reserves. They don't want to potentially injure themselves. They're just there to eat. And I'm not on the menu. So the shark bites that you do hear about in the news are either people that were wrong place, wrong time, and the shark was just like, that might be food. And then the shark bit it and was like, ew, gross, that's not food. Or they're in a situation where they see the shark and they're swimming rapidly away. And when we want the sharks to come to the surface, the first thing we do is splash, trying to get their attention and make them think that we're injured or that we're prey. The more that I'm out there with them, the more that I'm like, man, I know humans that I don't trust. And like, I'll be with sharks all day. I will swim with sharks before I go swim with like strangers or hang out with strangers that I don't know. Yeah. Because it's that whole like bear in the woods theory. Like, would you rather be alone with a stranger in the woods or a bear in the woods? I'll take the bear. And in this instance, I'll take the shark because I know what the shark wants. I trust its motives. And like, most human beings, I don't know what they want. I don't trust their motives. So I now find that those are my moments where I'm most at peace is when I'm in the ocean and I get to swim with sharks.
So these are like big chompy sharks. Like these sharks could take a bite out of you. Chompy. Like we're not baby shark. We're talking mama shark, daddy shark.
Yeah, so these sharks
How about what kind of sharks are they? Get some actual names versus your baby sharks.
Chompies.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are bull sharks are my favorites to swim with because while they're bigger and they're more barrel bodied, they're chunkier sharks. They're more chill. They're more of a calm demeanor. There are lemon sharks, which are my sassy sharks. Those are the ones I want to be extra careful with in the water because the lemon sharks are very quick moving, very curious, come in really fast. The lemon sharks are, I feel like, the more likely to just like nibble at you to see if you taste good. So I'm not like, so with lemon sharks, I'm a little more aware. There's silky and sandbar sharks right now are in migrating season in South Florida. So those sharks they're a little bit smaller in nature. So they're probably like 6 feet, 7 feet, and they're faster, but they're typically more docile. Those are sharks that like, they really don't want anything to do with you, but they do come in fast for the kill, like not kill, but come in fast for the bait. Whereas bull sharks will come up slow and methodically and you can kind of toss them. I'm not allowed to toss them the fish or the chum because I'm not a professional shark diver. I just dive with professional shark divers and it's my friend's company and it would be really detrimental if I got bit. It would hurt their business. So I'm not allowed to feed the sharks. I always ask, but I'm not allowed to feed the sharks until I'm a professional and I'm not a professional yet. It's just a pastime.
You working on it?
I would love to work on it. Like being in the water with, gosh, it's the most incredible thing being in the ocean. It really is. And because I have free dive, I'm scuba certified, but I don't use tanks. I just hold my breath. And I can't do that when I'm drinking. I can't do that hungover. My lung capacity, I can hold my breath and swim down 40 feet and hang out with sharks and just sit there. And I'm really bad at meditating, but those are my moments. Like those are my God moments. Everything slows down. I'm literally holding my breath and everything around me relies on my full attention. I can't be in my head. I can't be thinking about anything else except for making eye contact with the sharks that are swimming by so that they know I'm a predator too. And there's something magical about just locking eyes with an apex predator. It's a gift. Like it's so incredible. Like these are the things that I would have never ever made the time for if I wouldn't have stopped drinking. And it costs just as much as a bar tab. I'm sorry. You mean that I could pay for strangers' bar tabs at happy hour, or I could pay for the fees to go dive on like a charter? That's the same price? Okay, I'm going to take the ocean and the experience and the magic that I get there versus the hangover every single time now. Like, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah, I love it when you put it like that, like how much were you spending on, because you think of things like, oh, a dive charter, oh no, that's too expensive. Oh no, I couldn't do that. But when you're like, yeah, but you did just spend how many hundred on a bar tab? Like, what satisfaction, what life satisfaction are you getting out of both of those experiences? What do you want more of?
I had a moment where I was like, in order to keep me from drinking so much, I'm only going to drink $100 bottles of wine.
How'd that go?
I went broke real quick.
Yeah.
It was like $1,000 in 2 days. Yeah. I was like, I'm going through 4 bottles of wine a day and let me just see if I can. So what happened was I would drink the $100 bottle and take a picture of it, post it on Instagram like I was some big shot who could afford $100 bottles of wine. And then I would drink the cheap bottles after that so that
get out of the box and
just get it out of the box, take the picture of it. Now when I see that kind of behavior, like I have sisters that are teenagers. And so now when I see that kind of behavior, I'm like, I don't mean to say this and be crude or crass or whatever. That's poor people shit. I'm sorry. You need to brag about how much money you spent on a bottle of tequila. There is no health in that. There is no wealth in that. There is no you're not physically, mentally, or financially healthy in any aspect by taking a picture of a $100 bottle of tequila and posting it on social media. You're flexing while you poison yourself. That's just, my sisters are in that teenage age. So I'm just like, poor people shit was the line that got through to their heads.
Yeah. Like, how does this serve you? How does this benefit you? How does this make you a better person? It's like you said, it's not helping you physically, mentally. It's not benefiting your health. Yeah.
And you mentioned too, when you were younger, I believe, like looking at models or people on social media and being like, they have it all together. I want to be that. I want to do that. And then you realize like, nobody has it all together. In
No.
fact, some people who look like they have it together have it the least amount together.
Yeah. I just got the opportunity every year in Miami, and it's the International Swimwear Fashion Week every year. It's called Miami Swim Week. And this year, every year I say I'm not going to do it again. And then I get offered really cool runways to walk. So I'm like, okay, I'll do it. One of the largest brands I've ever walked for picked me up this year. And I'm still just in awe that I got to do it. And there was a woman that was also booked for it. And in the recovery programs, we have this phrase called, "But for the grace of God, there go I." And what it means is I'm one drink away from being that person again. And this woman was so drunk that she got asked to, she was in her suit, ready to go, and couldn't get up off the floor. And
Wow.
the company couldn't let her walk. And I was helping get security over, and I was like, hey guys, like, discreetly as possible, be gentle. Because in my mind, I'm thinking of the women in my recovery house. I'm thinking of how I would react if that was me, and how offended. And when you put somebody in a corner and they're embarrassed, they'll die on that hill. I'm not drunk. I'm not drunk. And I just, as gentle as possible, guys, she can't walk this runway. She can't walk. And it's half a football field runway with hundreds and hundreds of lights and photographers, and it's a fully sold out event, and it's a huge stage, and it's televised. And I'm like, for so many reasons, please don't let this girl go out there. And I immediately text my sponsor, and I'm like, this is happening, and I'm grateful. I'm just grateful. And she goes, but for the grace of God, there goes Kari. I'm like, yeah, that would have been me. A million times that would have been me. I would have screwed up everything because I had to have a drink to unwind because I was so freaking nervous that I couldn't have done it. And then by the time it would have been able for me to get on stage, I would have been falling all over myself. And man, like the opportunities I get now in sobriety, I get to say yes to, and they're scary, right? That's a scary job. Going to a backyard barbecue with family members. I don't know about y'all, but that's scary for me. Like, people, I have to people. Please throw me in the water with the sharks, please. I'll be much better off. But it's those opportunities I get to do, and I get to do these things that normally I would have drank over or drank before and then been guilty or been shameful or been regretful. I get to do those things sober now, and then after they're done, it feels so good.
Yeah.
I went on a tangent there for a minute.
That's okay. I have a question for Kevin. Would you rather go swimming with sharks or walk in a Speedo in front of hundreds or thousands of people on a runway?
Okay, that's not actually a good question now, because I would totally take the sharks, because I know a little bit more now that I'm not food, as long as I don't swim away fast, which that's not going to happen anyway. So
once you take the sharks, you'll go back to the sharks every time. I promise you. Everyone I have brought to my friend's shark company in Jupiter, Florida, it's called Tanner Underwater. It's all one word. Everybody I've brought to Tanner, like, they always come back. Yeah. They're always like, that was so much cooler than I thought it would be. I wasn't even afraid. And then they always come back. So if you pick sharks, you picked right, because then you'll get addicted to sharks.
Yeah. I picked sharks, and then give me a year for the Speedo. I need to work on this a little bit.
Work on your bikini body?
On it. Yeah, I'm working on it. So speaking of tangents, so how do you do that now? I'm curious, like you talk about redefining yourself, being fearless, being able to have that gratitude that you were able to be there and do that show. But how did you do that show? How do you now get yourself ready to go to the backyard barbecue or a pool or a club or a outing with other people, not sharks?
I love sharks. It's never in fear for sharks.
Yeah.
You want to know the really cheesy answer?
Cheesier the better.
Okay. I take myself completely out of myself, and I ask my God to remove my fears. I literally just ask him to take them away. And at first, I didn't believe in anything out there in the universe. And then as I was just willing to ask, like, all right, God, I don't know if you're real or not, but can you please make me feel a little bit better about this backyard barbecue, that'd be great. Thank you. I'm super nervous. As soon as I just was willing to ask for help from a higher power, the feelings went away. And then it was, all right, dude, you did it last time. So can you help the sister out? I got this other thing I got to do. And so literally before I walked that runway, it wasn't the only one I did this year. There was one I did a week or two prior to that, where the girl in front of me, I happen to know from modeling, and I know she's religious. So I tapped her on the shoulder and I was like, can you hold my hands and pray with me? And she was like, oh my God, yes. And so right before we walked that runway together, I was just like, okay. And we bowed our heads and we said the 2-second prayer and we went out there. And the big runway, I didn't know any, I was like, okay, all right. And I just folded my hands and I bowed my head and I was just like, thy will be done. Keep me safe. Take these feelings. Amen. And that's it. And I swear I did not even remember my walk. I got back off stage and I was like, did I smile? Did I not smile? And it was being live streamed. So I was able to scrub back through the live stream and I was like, oh, I did my job. I did great. Excellent. But just sometimes I get so wrapped up in my fear that I forget that I can just ask for help. So when I do feel those feelings, I ask for them to go away, or I name them. What really is the scariest thing that could happen? I trip and fall. Then I go viral. So it's actually not a bad thing. So it's, what's the worst imaginable thing that could happen out there? My life is fine. I'm safe and I'm protected by my higher power. So it sounds cheesy, but I literally I know I've got a long way to go. I know I'm not a shining example of a churchgoer because I'm human and I live a very human life. But I know that when I need help, all I have to do is ask for it. Even if it's just, please help me not pick up a drink. Please help me get rid of these feelings of fear without picking up a drink. And it works every time.
Yeah. It's so present and loud and clear that community is really important to you and reaching out to people. And it sounds like you've realized throughout this journey with alcohol, your journey with alcohol, that in all aspects of your life, people are, yes, scary, but we need it. We do need community. We can't do this by ourselves. And we do need, even if it's a quick text message to a friend or a sponsor of, this is what I'm going through, or just releasing this thought to you, or tapping a friend on a shoulder and asking for a moment of prayer, or not even a friend, just someone that you happen to know might be open to this. Yeah. But that's all part of building community. And it's so important that we don't live on this isolated island. There are people out there that want to help. Yeah.
It's just making the effort. Just be willing to ask for help, because my best ideas landed me hungover every time. My best ideas put me in the worst situations. There wasn't ever a time where I thought, this is going to end me up in jail or missing my front tooth or with a totaled car. I'm going to do it. Right? All of those moments that have happened in my life, I had a blackout night where I woke up and was missing a front tooth. One of these is fake. Okay. And as a model, I'm like, this is the worst thing that could ever happen. My God, this is my face. And every time I put my best foot forward, my best thinking always landed me in the worst situations. If I take myself out of the equation and I'm like, what's up, God? What you got for me today? Cool, let's do that. Thy will be done, not mine, because my will has put me in a lot of shitty situations. And I find that the more willing I am to ask for help, if it's not a higher power, it's a phone call, it's a text message, it is community, because there's always somebody out there that you can bounce those shitty ideas off of that's going to tell you immediately, I don't know, you might end up in jail for that one, or maybe you shouldn't. There's always going to be somebody that's a voice of reason. And if that isn't a higher power for you, then it's find that person who you trust, because for the longest time, the people that were closest to me were the worst advisors. And I wanted them there because I liked my bad ideas. And then I had to realize that the 5 people closest to me, I would not pay to advise me on my life. I had to change my circle. I had to fire those people, and I'm still friends with them. I love them from a distance, And it took me a year to build this tribe and this community of women I trust, who have faith in God, who don't drink, who are really supportive, beautiful souls. And it took me a long time to find that. There was a lot of loneliness and like, I don't have any friends, and the friends I have, I don't like, and I don't trust, or their ideas are really shitty like mine used to be. It's like being able to fire those few people that I was using as trusted advisors and having people I can actually call and trust with advice is huge. That community aspect of people that are living the life you want to live, that's huge. Like, the people around me now are living in a way that I admire and value and respect. And how do I get to be more like you? Let me call you when I have an idea. Oh, that's a bad idea? Heard. Okay, I won't do that. So the community is important, but it's the quality of the community that's around you too that's really important.
Yeah, I think one of the cool things about particularly online communities as well is that you get a perspective from all different walks of life, from all over the world, and you'll share in a meeting, and there will be potentially hundreds of people who will pipe up or say something in the chat of, oh, I tried this, or have you considered that? And you're like, I had no idea that existed, or I had no idea that was an option, or that was possible. And so you're just opening yourself up to so many more possibilities in life, and you're not just stuck in that same group of 5 people that have potentially been giving you really bad advice for the past, I don't know, 15,
and
20 years.
I heard a woman say recently in a meeting, and she had 37 years of sobriety, and she said back in the day they didn't call it relapses when you picked up a drink again, they called it a slip, and slip stood for sobriety lost its priority. And you can reprioritize it at any time. If you pick up a drink and you hate yourself for it, you can literally just put it back down again. You can reprioritize an alcohol-free life at any point in time. But having a community of people that you can talk to and reach out to who also have alcohol-free lives is a big part of being able to live that life, and having those tools to, like, oh, I'm going to go to a barbecue today and crap, I really don't want to go because everybody there is going to be drinking. Take your own car, show up and make an appearance. Turn around and leave. If you can't take your own car and leave whenever you want, you don't need to go to that thing. I have no FOMO for that. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to run a hot bath and throw some like soaking salts in it, and I'm going to put like a hair mask in my hair, and I'm going to have a lovely calm evening and drink some nighttime tea and read a book and go to bed. I'm not missing out on anything if I don't show up at your event. But having the ability to say no, having a community of people that can give you tools and give you advice that's good advice, that people that you respect who are living an alcohol-free life, that's priceless.
Yeah.
We have the same wind down routine too.
A hair mask and a face mask. Yeah.
What were you going to say, Emma?
Oh, I was just, what was the slip stands for sobriety lost its purpose. I love that. And there's
Priority.
no reason, priority. Yeah, sorry, not purpose, priority. There's no reason you can't, make it, rearrange your priorities. We talk about that so often. Like, sometimes your priority needs to be your career. Sometimes your priority needs to be your kids.
Yeah.
There's no reason you can't.
And that's like when I started too, I would always do it that, oh, I'm going to stop drinking at least for a little bit. All right, let's start this new workout program. Let's start eating 100% clean. Let's start doing all the things. And then once one thing fell, then with the next thing and the next thing, the dominoes fell. And so when I truly started, I said, okay, I can do those other things, but I don't have to do those other things. I'm only focused on this right now. Whatever this is, I still need to figure it out, but this is what I'm focused on. And I actually gave myself time. And you know what? If you give yourself time to prioritize yourself and do that, you can make progress. It's not going to be perfect. It never was, never is. But yeah, when we try and I feel like, we do too much. Like, it's always about what's the next thing? Am I doing enough? It's all that pressure. Again, it goes back to keeping up with everybody and doing those types of things, when we have to realize that, no, we get to make our own decisions on what that priority is, or what that group of things that is important to us is.
And perfection is never the goal, because you'll never reach it.
No.
Progress is the goal. Even slow progress is still progress. So if sobriety lost its priority, prioritize it again. You can start over at any moment and any day. You don't have to wait till tomorrow. You can start over right now. And
You don't have to wait till Monday.
And the one thing I continue to hear is that the people that went back out, they lost that community connection. They stopped going to meetings. They stopped doing service. They stopped helping other people. Like, they stopped picking up the phone. And I don't know about you guys, but like, alcohol wants to isolate me, because that's when I turn to it, is when I'm isolated. And I have to be self-aware. Am I isolating myself? And I'm in a really vulnerable state in my life right now, where I'm going through a huge shift. I'm going through a really big breakup. I have 3 businesses that I run. I have my own. If I don't make sobriety my priority right now, I will lose everything. And like, I have to okay, in order to maintain peace in my life, I have to turn to my community for tools. I have to trust in and believe in my higher power, that there's a bigger plan out there than the one that's unfolding right now, and that this is just a test. And I have to stay sober. I can't pick up a drink, because all it's going to do is pour gasoline in my dumpster fire of life. It's literally just going to burn my entire life down if I pick up a drink right now. I lose everything. So the only way for me to stay focused is to keep sobriety in priority. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And sometimes, like you said, with your core group of friends, sometimes, and you mentioned earlier as well, that going out, you realized you just can't do it. And sometimes it's that you need to make sobriety your number one priority and absolutely protect it with everything that you've got. So that means maybe not going out and not hanging out with those friends, but it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be forever. You can still go out with those friends, just maybe not right at the beginning when you've got that baby sobriety to protect. And you might go out with those friends, but on your terms or with your boundaries. So it might be that you go out for a day at the beach, or you go out on a boat, or you go out for a hike or whatever, but it's not going out to a bar, not going out to that environment.
Called sobriety a baby. Yeah. Like, I love that you called sobriety a baby,
It
because
is.
that's, in the beginning, I can easily say, like, my friends that I could be honest with about it, my sobriety is a baby, and I have no babysitter for it. So I'm going to stay home with this baby. And I would say that, like, my sobriety is only 3 months old or 4 months old, and I can't leave it home. I can't leave it. I have to stay home with it. And my friends that I could be really more like blunt with, when they would invite me to things that involved drinking, I would flat out be like, you can invite me to sunrise cardio, to on the beach, to the gym. You can invite me on a hike. You can invite me on a dive. You can invite me to tea at 2 p.m. at a building that doesn't serve alcohol. You can invite me to the library. You can invite me to anywhere that doesn't serve alcohol, and I'm happy to spend time with you. You could just call me and we could catch up on the phone. Don't drunk dial me. Don't call me with your problems past 8 o'clock at night, because I'm probably going to have my phone off and be in bed. And so don't drunk dial me, and don't invite me places where they're serving alcohol. And whenever those situations have come up in the past, and I do ask my higher power, I don't want to say no, it's her birthday, I love her, but man, I'm so nervous about this event. I either call my sponsor, or I call somebody and say, what would you do? Or I pray about it. And the times that I've prayed about it, it's absolutely been removed. Something else came up that was way more important that gave me an out. Or if it was a situation where I was like, listen, we have to take separate cars, or we could ride together, but we're only going for an hour, or I'm not going. Tell your friends and family that I'm working and I'm super busy and I love them and I'm apologetic that I can't make it. And if that caused friction, that was okay, because me getting used to the new me it's easier. But other people that have been in your life for a long time, where they're like, no, wait a minute, you used to come and hang out for 12 hours. I'm like, yeah, I used to go drink for 12 hours. I don't want to go hang out for 12 hours. I don't want to actually sit in somebody's backyard for 12 hours. I'm going to go to this barbecue and I'm going to have a salad and like a chicken wing and like a conversation, and I'm going to be out of there about an hour and a half later. I'm going to take pictures with everybody and make an appearance and head out. And that was always just to protect my sobriety. But one thing you can say to those people as well, especially family, is look, this won't be like this forever.
Yeah.
This is my new norm. And right now I have to prioritize my health. I have to. So I can come for an hour and then leave, or I can just miss it and see you guys next time. And like, it won't be this way forever. But just for right now, this is what I have to prioritize. And if anybody sticks their nose up at it, that's not your friend. That's not somebody that you need in that inner circle anyways.
Yeah, that's not someone that actually genuinely cares about your well-being and your best interest. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I would say too, give people a chance, because I think sometimes we think, oh, they're going to judge me. They're going to be doing this. And we tell them, and they're, oh my God, whether they are thinking about it themselves or they are just so supportive of you because they care about you. Yeah. Give people a chance to surprise you in a good way. Because I think we always think, again, worst case scenario, and
actually
that can happen.
The coolest thing happened. My son's father and I, because I'm sober now and because I've made amends, we have an incredible relationship now where we respect each other, which is really cool. And his wife and him had a baby recently, and they invited me to their baby's 1-year birthday party. And I was like, that would have never happened without sobriety, first and foremost, because they would have been worried that I would have been drunk Kari. And I showed up, and I guess her brother, I overheard him saying like, why is there no beer in the cooler? And it rung with me. It was like, oh my God, they literally are throwing this, like, they respect me and my sobriety. My ex-husband respects my sobriety enough to not put beer in the cooler at this birthday party. Like, just because they invited me. So it'll surprise you. Like, you're right. Let people surprise you, because for me, I've always been vocal about, this is what I'm doing. I'm not drinking, because if I'm telling on myself and I'm vocal about it, people aren't going to offer it to me. But that was a surprising thing where I was like, wow, that is so cool. The people that I didn't expect to respected it. Yeah, let people surprise you, or bring your own little like thing of LaCroix, or bring some sparkling waters, bring your own BYO sparkling water. You know?
BYOC, I usually walk in with a coffee.
Yeah. How am I going to get through this event with caffeine?
Yeah. When you were talking about that early on here about the needing that additional one, I'm like, yeah, that's coffee for me now. I have to go, if I go places we just went on a cruise. It's okay. I have the coffee package. Good. Where can I get coffee? How often can I get coffee? I need access to it because
mine is cake. Mine is not coffee, but there's a really good bakery by my house. And oh my God, that is my Achilles heel is, okay, I cannot go to this bakery. My kid doesn't even eat sweets. He could take it or leave it. I don't know, Mom, you go. He said the other day, I was like, do you want to bake sugar cookies? And he looked at me and he goes, you do you, Mom. And I was like, what? I was like, you don't want sugar cookies? He's like, no, Mom, you want sugar cookies.
Come on. What good are you if you can't just agree with me just so I can make them and say, oh, I made them for everybody?
Can you just eat these? But that was what I did with alcohol, where I would bring a bunch of alcohol, hoping that I didn't look like the weirdo that wanted to drink all the alcohol, and I'd end up being the one that drank all the alcohol. Now, when I bring sweets, it's the same old obsession. That obsession of my mind has not gone away. It's just been repurposed, and it can be repurposed for healthier things, like shark diving or the gym or bakery goods.
I mentioned the Sour Patch Kids in my wife's purse at the movie theater. Yeah,
I'm
not saying my only obsession is coffee. So
yeah, I would look weird coming into the movie theater with a whole buttercream cake. Just a cake and a fork.
Some Tupperware or something. Yeah.
So listen, you don't sell this here. Okay. I'm going to eat this whole thing.
Yeah.
I would buy a purpose-built handbag to fit the cake in there.
Yeah.
This cake is a fashion statement.
Yeah. Is it cake? Is it a handbag? Ooh,
that's a good one.
There's those. My kids watch those shows on Netflix as well. Is it cake or is it? I can't remember what it's called. You guys know what I mean, though. Is it?
I had a cake.
Is it real? Is it cake or whatever?
Oh yeah.
I had a birthday cake one year that was made after this, one of my favorite purses, and my best friends all took my purse to the cake shop and had the cake shop make a custom cake that looked identical to my purse. It was the cutest thing. And
that's so cool.
It was so good. It was so tasty.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one thing if a cake looks good, but it's got to taste good as well.
Yeah.
A cake
Yeah, and
that looks good
sometimes
but
that
doesn't taste
fondant,
good.
you got it. It's got to taste good. And I'll
Right.
tell you what, those like supermarket bakeries, like here in Florida, we have Publix. I know Walmart has really good cakes. There's bakeries, or don't sleep on that, okay? Because they're actually really
Yeah.
good and really inexpensive.
Follow us for more great life advice.
Yes.
Listen, it's not alcohol, okay?
Yeah, we'll
You
go
gotta
to
enjoy
the
life.
grocery store and get a cookie cake for that used to be my birthday and soberversary thing was a big old cookie cake. The more icing, the better, but it's changed to a specific cupcake
It's a
here.
cookie cake.
It's just
It's
a
like
big
a giant
cookie.
cookie, and then they put
A cookie the
icing
size of a
like it's
cake.
a cake.
With
Yeah.
icing on top.
Yeah.
Oh.
And you just
Yeah.
cut it like a pizza and you
Yeah.
eat it like a triangle pizza slice. And yeah.
One of the
It's-
local
Okay.
bakeries here in South Florida, Publix used to make, because we get hit with hurricanes for hurricane season. And so when hurricanes were going to hit, they started making hurricane cookie cakes that were like the eye of the hurricane, like the icing looked like the hurricane, and they would write the name of the hurricane on it and they'd sell it. And then people got offended by the hurricane cakes because hurricanes actually do a lot of damage and sometimes kill people. So the bakery stopped making hurricane cakes, but it was a brief moment in time where everybody was celebrating hurricanes because the cakes were so tasty that it was like,
yeah, I just picture the amount of icing that might be with just a little eye in the middle. Oof.
yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go see what sweets we have downstairs after this.
Yeah. And now I'm hungry.
Yeah. Should we move on to the
Nuggets of the...
finish up with the nuggets?
Our nuggets.
I have a nugget.
Okay.
I see.
Nugget. I thought of
Yeah.
one. So my nugget, or I was this week's days old. I learned this week.
You say that wrong every time. This could
Every
be
time.
completely off topic. What do we learn this week? This could be completely off topic, not sobriety related. A little nugget.
So Emma was today years old when, or this, I learned this week that I can't read 3 meaty books at once, surprisingly. So I love reading, love a good novel, and I've just rediscovered our local library. Like I know it's been, it's one of those things you forget about, but we've got an app so you can like scroll through books and I don't have to walk around the library and get completely overwhelmed and flustered. I can scroll through the app and put books on hold, and then it notifies me when they're in the library and I can go and pick it up because they'll get it in from different libraries around the city. So cool. If Emma puts 3 books on hold, 3 books will become available at once, which means I've got 3, maybe 4 weeks to try and read these 3 meaty novels that I really want to read, and I don't want to relinquish my hold of them because then I might have to wait too long to get it back. So I don't know what the solution is, but I've got 3 big books to try and read very quickly.
What do you, and I have this doc up here where you wrote that on just now, and I got distracted by what constitutes a meaty novel.
Yeah,
Meaty.
what is a
like it's a thick.
Yeah.
It's a big, thick book.
But give me a page count.
I don't know.
I don't know. Are you reading Stephen King? Or are you reading?
Maybe even bigger. Do you want me to go get the books?
Book right over there.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Stephen King book right over there. I love reading Stephen King, and they're like my favorite meaty books to read.
Yeah, I started going through and reading his from start to finish, and I made it all his books. I don't know, 75, 80, 90 books. I think I got through 3. I did get through 3, and they were good. But
the Dark Tower series is my favorite.
I listened to that. Yeah,
so
that was like 150 hours, I think, of Audible that I listened to. And I have to go back and pick up the new ones that came out with since I've done it. What do you got there?
I'm reading X-Men's Carnival by Catherine Chidkey. I don't know how to say her surname. It's a New Zealand author.
Ooh.
So we got 350 pages.
So you got a 350 pager. You got,
and then this one that I'm yet to start.
I have
Demon
that downstairs
Copperhead by
too.
Barbara Kingsolver. I've heard this could destroy me.
Ooh.
That's related to
way.
addiction, sobriety. It's a novel, right? About that.
It's a novel. I have no idea. 548 pages. But these ones are big. Like this is a heavy book. I don't want to pack this in my carry-on. I don't actually know what it's about. but my friends said it was a good one. So I don't know how I'm going to get through these books, but
This one's on my nightstand right now.
Ooh.
meaty.
Are you just reading through the Dark Tower series now?
I'm rereading it. I read it for
Rereading
the
it?
first time when I was in high school, and rereading it like 18 years later is so much more makes sense, and it's way weirder to read as an adult.
'Cause you're pretty far then, because that's what, book
Oh yeah,
seven?
this is what is VII? Is that 7? Yeah,
Yeah.
7, yeah.
Damn
yeah.
Roman
But then
numerals.
I know that my favorite character is about to die, and I was like, if I don't read it, it won't happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. That's actually, I think, in year 1, year 2, I think I got so burnt out listening on my commute to work, quit lit, that I'm like, I can't listen to another one of these books. And that's what I switched over to, was the Dark Tower. I think it was The Stand first. And then I listened to all the Dark Tower. But yeah, that's good stuff. Now, I did think about that the other day. Now you have me thinking I might go back and actually read it, not listen to it.
What is your nugget?
My nugget
Does everyone
is...
give a nugget?
Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone
if
gives
we
a nugget
have it.
if you can. If
Mine's
we're
not
really bad.
Yeah. Mine has nothing to do with meaty novels. That's going to be in my head now. I am today years old that I actually would consider maybe possibly being in the water and going like swimming with sharks.
Intentionally
I hope
seeking
you
out
do.
sharks.
Intentionally seeking out sharks. Yeah.
Nope, don't
Not
do it
seeking
without a
them out.
professional, though.
Yes.
Yeah, don't do it alone.
Because when we started talking about this, in my head the whole time was like, this sounds like a drunk idea. This sounds like a drunk idea. Hey, let's go swim with sharks. And
If you ever want to do it, I've got the right company to hook you up with down here.
cool.
Let me know.
But yeah, that's I didn't have really a nugget coming into this. I figured I'd figure it out. But as you were talking about it, I was always like, nope, that's not going to happen. Because I just assumed once the chum was done, then I became the chum.
No, I don't know if you have cats and dogs or have been around cats and or dogs. Swimming with sharks is like playing with cats. They don't care about you. They don't want you. If you have treats, they'll come around, might still bite you. Like, they're not interested. And once the treats are gone, the cats are gone. Swimming with dolphins is like playing with dogs. They want to be around you all the time. They think you're really cool. They'll bring you toys. Like, they'll bring you seaweed, or they'll play with your stuff, or they'll mess with you. So that was the differentiation for me. Is I have cats and dogs. I have 2 cats and I have 3 dogs. So I love both. And so I love my sharks, but they very much are like cat behavior. And then the dogs the dolphins that I've swum with are very like dog behavior. But they're both lovable. Except dolphins have a lot of empathetic qualities. Like, the dolphins are more like you can humanize them and like communicate with your eyes with them. Sharks are just sharks.
Yeah.
Sharks don't. You're never going to have an emotional connection with a shark. It's not going to happen.
Same thing with the cat.
Yeah, same thing with a cat. The cat, you're never going to have an emotional connection with a shark in the water. Whereas with a dolphin, there's a woman that I am friends with who goes out to the Bahamas every year since 2018. And she meets up with the same wild pod of dolphins, and they remember her, and they'll bring her their babies, and they'll swim with her and play with her. And like, sharks aren't like that. Sharks don't give a shit. Sharks don't care.
Yeah. I have an 85-pound dolphin downstairs, so we don't have dogs. So
I have a nugget that I had to expand on because I was today years old when I realized it. But I was today years old when I realized brown eggs and white eggs are the same. It's just a chicken feather color thing.
Huh.
Like, okay, white feathered chickens with white earlobes will lay white eggs, and red or brown feathered chickens with red earlobes will lay brown eggs.
I feel like I didn't know that chickens had earlobes either.
Yeah, I got stuck on that too. I was like, earlobes.
Yeah, I grew up, and when I grew up in Jacksonville, we always got eggs from our own chickens. And so sometimes the eggs were white, sometimes the eggs were brown, and you could tell which chicken it came from because of the color.
Huh.
Yeah, and they don't have earlobes. They got like holes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to change my answer.
I was 2 years old when I learned that chickens have earlobes.
Because in my head, and is this right or wrong, I feel like all the eggs that are portrayed as healthier options in the stores are brown, and all of the one, and not all of them, I'm not saying, but I'm thinking of like the packaging here and things like that. And I feel like in my head, I just equated like it's healthier, but why? And I never thought about it.
Brown hens tend to lay bigger eggs because brown hens tend to eat more.
On today's episode of Animal Planet,
On today's episode of, I swear I told you I have so many random nuggets of information. But I grew up like fishing and spear fishing and diving, and we always grew our own vegetables. I can rototill a garden. I can get eggs from our own chickens. We never had cattle or horses because we weren't rich people. We were like the poor people that lived off the land, not the rich people that had horses that lived off the land. And then between just growing up picking our own blueberries and vegetables and corn, and my Nana, who was an alcoholic, I had mentioned that she was the nice alcoholic, right? But she always had either a black coffee or a straight whiskey in her hand, and she would take the double-barreled shotgun behind the front door, and because it was loaded and kept behind the front door, and she would try to shoot the squirrels that were getting into our corn, and she'd miss, and she'd take out the corn stalks because after a couple of whiskeys, your aim was off. So my papa would get mad that the corn was getting obliterated, and like it was a whole thing. So, the random chicken facts.
as long as she
Florida
wasn't taking
is a
out
wild
chickens.
place.
I was thinking that
chickens
too.
are valuable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Random Florida things.
I was like, you said Jacksonville, right? This is not the picture I had of that area
so
or
Jacksonville
Florida.
is split up. There's like Jack's Beach. There's like downtown Jacksonville,
yeah.
and then there's like out in the sticks Jacksonville. And then where
West.
my Nana and Papa's lake house was actually in the middle of the Ocala National Forest. And so there was never any like cell phone signal out there. Like, I'm pretty sure that they still have dial up. Like, they live in this like really remote area. And that was my weekends and my summers was spent there. So Florida's a million different things. I'm in Miami now, and it's the majority of it is like Latin, Hispanic, and you go a couple hours north and it's farmland, and it's wild.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where the chicken knowledge comes from.
I love it. Chicken knowledge.
Meaty novels and chicken knowledge on this episode of the Reframable Podcast.
Just leave it at that tagline.
Yeah, the name of this episode. Chicken nuggets and meaty novels.
Meaty novels and chicken knowledge.
Chicken nuggets. You could have a lot of fun sober, guys. You don't need alcohol.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Kari, thanks so much for chatting with us today. It's been a really good time. Chicken nuggets and all. Where can people find you or contact you? How's the best place to track you down?
So my sober living has a website called bestfriendsplace.com. And then my Instagram is Kari.Nautique. That's Kari.Nautique. And then that's the main place where you can reach me.
Awesome. Thanks. We'll pop that in the show notes or whatever, right?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Kevin does that. I don't know. I'm like, we'll do it. But Kevin has to do it.
Yeah. I will do it. And I just realized that, you switched it from chicken knowledge to chicken nuggets, which I thought was like,
that.
I thought you were talking about eating them.
But the
chicken
nuggets are chicken knowledge. That's cool.
Yeah.
That works.
Now I want cake and chicken nuggets. Yep.
And chicken nuggets. That's a good Wednesday evening, or for
Snack.
you, is it Thursday morning, Emma?
Yeah. Breakfast.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
Conversation, I loved it.
Yeah, appreciate you joining us today. Thank you all for listening to another episode of the Reframable Podcast, brought to you by the Reframe app. Reframe is the #1 iOS and Android app to help you cut back or quit drinking alcohol. It uses neuroscience to reframe your relationship with alcohol and unlock the healthiest, happiest you. If you're enjoying this podcast, please like, subscribe, and share with those that you feel may benefit from it. And I want to thank you again for listening, and be sure to come back for another episode. Have a great day.
Bye, friends.
Bye. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. And I love what